Hey y'all, how y'all doing today? I want to talk a little bit about um, getting to know your own spirit. And as you guys remember, okay, so disclaimer. I already have a disclaimer episode, but for those who didn't listen to it, I do like episodes while I'm doing normal everyday things because that's what works for my life. So you may not get the typical sounding podcast episodes, but I'm doing my walk right now in the park, so you may hear a lot of nature sounds, cars passing by, whatever. But I just kind of want to let you know firsthand. But I want to talk about getting to know your own spirit so that you can keep your spirit uplifted, empowered, and moving along in the journey that I call life. Um, But basically, first of all, spirit has a lot. The word spirit has a lot of meanings, but I'm just going to focus on the meaning in which I'm referring to right now, which is kind of like your personality, your interests, the characteristics from the conditioning that you may have had. And when I talk about conditioning, just kind of like your experiences as a child, your experiences growing up. Like for me, you could say my conditioning was, I had both my parents around, but I grew up around a lot of boys. So I have a lot of male perspective conditioning. I have a lot of, but I also have female perspective conditioning as well because I had a lot of cousins, a big family in general. So there's that conditioning of having a big family, and those who have big families can truly understand that comes with a lot of good and bad qualities. But anyway, it's just that there's so many things that can play into your conditioning. But just think of things that have happened to you as a child or around you as a child that may have molded the things you like to do and the interests that you have. And just keep in mind that those things can always be changed, evolved, altered, what have you. Nothing is set in stone or rigid. But basically, for me, this is my own interpretation. Your spirit is composed of your mom, dad, both grandmothers, both grandfathers, and ultimately you. That's kind of encompassing that ancestral aspect of the spirit. Also think of each chakra as a little house where a spirit that needs nurturing lives. So the inner child lives in the root. And the close familiar ancestors all reside there as well. This is why the slave mentality is so strong in your self-image, because that is the root. And the root chakra is known to be as the self, how you identify as self. This is why sometimes you could think of it like, the way I look at it is, when you have like a kid, you notice how they have like a lot of your same interests. Like they pick up a lot of the things that you are, and this is without even seeing them. So, like my son doesn't like to eat breakfast, and he sleeps and he'll cover his head with blankets or something. But yeah, those things he's never even seen me do. But then there are the conditionings of things that he has seen me do, like he grinds his teeth or he blinks a lot, and he gets that from his dad. And so it's like these are like like I don't know if I say subliminal, but like just discrete little things that he has picked up and just does on his own. And I did the same thing. I picked up little things that I saw my parents do and little habits that they do and mannerisms and whatnot. And so a lot of times we can internalize these things as, oh, this is just true to me. This means this. And then when you start adding labels on it, like, oh, you're gay because you do this. And it's like not knowing that this person only picked up this thing because they was conditioned with these types of mannerisms and these behaviors. And so that can be very confusing for a person who just is like, this is just me because I just grew up seeing it and this is all I know. And then, but you labeling it as something else makes them internalize it as something else. So it's like, but I'm digressing. The whole point of this is to get to know what things keep you moving, what things uplift your spirit, what things, which is another way of saying like raise your vibration, what things like tap you into your passions, and those passions usually lead you to your purpose. But yeah, so those things lead you to your purpose. And also, it's like, if you think about the child again, this is why your child wants to eat what you eat, because they're literally through and through a product of you. DNA carries information, and so that can be understood as spirit, it can be understood as DNA, whatever scientific way you want to look at it. But for me, I like to choose to use the word spirit, because when you think of your spirit, like uplifted, that's something I think we all kind of use generally, like, oh, this don't feel good to my spirit, or, oh, this really uplifts my spirit. That's something we can attest to, but we never really just think, deeply, or the root of it, like, where does it come from? Where is that stemming from? And for me, it comes from, like, aspects of you, basically. And why you can have an embodiment of your, basically, like, deceased grandparent, even if you have never met them. You are part of them. We are all interconnected, woven from the same fabric. Think of it like a quilt that has been torn to shreds and, dispersed amongst regions of the whole world. But everybody's holding a piece of that cloth from their family lineage. And the thing is to kind of bring it back together. But so then there's a sacral chakra, the womb. So I talked about the root, which is the ancestral part of the spirit. Then there's the sacral chakra, the womb, or the sacred, woman. There's so many things, divine, feminine, whatever. All of this area, I feel like, kind of is connected. And then there's the sexual beast or goddess. So that's kind of what I call that region. Like, that's like that more sexual side of you, that more feminine side of you, the more receptive side of you, the creative side of you. Then you have the solar plexus, which is like, okay, so the root is located within the how can I say, by the anal area. It's said to believe that it's basically from womb to, I can't remember the exact ages, but it's the early childhood development. And then, as you get a little older, like maybe 2 to 3, then you start developing more of the sacral chakra. Then, you go up to like 5 or so for solar. But I don't know the exact ages, but just know that they say that there's ages for them to develop and, come online, as you will, and harness that, how can I say, that information to come online. But so, yeah, the solar plexus is where is like the go-getter aspect of you. That's where that part resides. The one that takes action, the power, the more masculine energy. It's where the sacral is more the feminine energy. And the womb, you can kind of just identify with it. It's a reproductive system. And for men, it's the same thing. That's the reproductive system. And men also have creative sides and emotional sides, even though, we have to act like they don't sometimes, and we gaslight them. Same thing is, we make them feel like internalized feelings of inferiority, or like emasculating them for feeling like sensitive or emotional or whatever. It's the same thing for when women are more assertive and take action. Then we say things about them like, oh, they're just a bitch, or they're too much, or because we can't handle them taking action. So there are these societal roadblocks that we have based on the labeling and stuff like that. Then you have the heart chakra area, and to me, this is where your higher self, your pure God self or soul resides. The peacemaker, the healer. This is where that aspect of you lives. It's, to me, in essence, your true essence. And that's why it's in the center of all those chakras. That's why it is the healer. That is where, to me, all of the healing takes place. All of the filtering should take place. And where your love and light resides. And where you should always come back to when you're feeling like off balance. Because in essence, it is the balance. Think about it. It's in the middle. Then you have your throat chakra. That's the messenger. that's the person who communicates. And once you filter through your heart, that's what you're communicating. You're communicating the things that have been filtered through your heart or have come down from the information that you received through your mind. Then you have the third eye, that's the seer of truth. So it's kind of like it's somewhat like the discerner, but I would say the discerner is still more of the heart, but it's the seer of things in a different perspective. So it's kind of like the higher self again, because you're seeing it from like this watchtower perspective, basically the bird's eye view of life. So you may see things from a bigger picture scale from that third eye area. Then you have the crown chakra, that connection of to God or the divine consciousness, the ability to be open-minded and choosing that instead of, just the conditioning or the just basic, just only the old school stuff. Like life is all a balance of, for me, of old school traditions and new belief systems that make me feel like I'm evolving. And so to me, nostalgia connects you to them. It's the memory of what moves them. But it's also kind of just getting to know your likes, dislikes, your interests, the things that connect you to those different aspects of those little houses or little mini brains that harbor memories and helps you connect to those aspects of yourself. Like for instance, like I like to eat soul food, I like to eat meat. Now I'm not like saying go out there and eat the most unhealthy food out there, because I do balance it out with, working out and then eating other things that I feel like are more healthier options. And I don't eat it very often. I probably eat maybe once or twice a day. But that works for me. But to me, eating those types of food really feed my soul. And you know when something feeds your soul because of how it just really makes you feel and like just uplifts you and just makes you want to sing, dance, and do all these other things. And it makes me feel more good than it does bad. And so, but that's not the case for everybody. So like I said, but it also, but that's why I said you have to use discernment and know what works for you and what doesn't. But doing that not only makes me just feel good, but it's within me. It connects me to my, what I feel is like my ancestral traits. These are the types of food that they ate. Yes, it may not have been because by choice or because of the best interest, but the roots of it are culturally connected to who they are. But maybe the quality of the food wasn't the best, so that's why they had to eat certain things, and now it's been like conditioning into my culture. But needless to say, I'm not at a place right now where I feel like that's something that I want to stop, because when I wasn't eating these things, I was more depressed and more just unmotivated, and that food really brings joy and fulfillment into my life. I'm a die-hard foodie, like hardcore. Like I grew up watching Food Network, and so that could be another part of the conditioning that does tie into me being a foodie. But you see how little things that are the memory, because also remember the root is where the inner child lives. So me growing up and using Food Network as a sense of comfort and watching all the Food Network stars and the main people everybody knows about as an escape from whatever I may have been going through or perceiving as trauma or chaos or anxiety or fear. I went to those things to give me comfort. And so as of now, they're still keeping me moving. These are my coping strategies, and to me, they're helping me more than hurting me. So you have to know what things help you more than hurt you while uplifting your spirit and connecting you to those things that keep you moving. Then when you get to the sacral, which I call the sexual beast, or the womb, that maternal energy, that creative energy, that sexual energy, that receptive energy, being able to receive. Things that I do to connect with that space is stretching, sensual stretching or regular stretching, tapping more into my body, getting creative, writing poetry, writing just blogs, doing this podcast, and listening to R&B music, because that reminds me of that good old bump and grind type music, you know what I'm saying? But just, intimacy with my partner, these are things that I use to kind of connect with that creative energy. And, you got to figure out what makes you feel sexy, what makes you feel attractive, sensual, receptive, getting rest, asking for help. All these, there's so many things that I found that addressing, a certain way, and you have to know what works for you. Then, for the solar plexus, dressing, that's more of that masculine energy, taking action, taking risks, getting more organized, getting more disciplined, doing my errands, doing my chores, being more structured. These are things that kind of help me tap into that energy more. Making lists, just getting more organized and like assertive. And then the heart, everything goes through the heart. Everything that I do, I check back with my heart to see, is this something that is true to me and my desires and what I want to do. And that's what keeps me stabilized and balanced and centered. So I just said the heart chakra, then you have the throat chakra, and that's, like I said, the messenger, or the person who communicates your feelings. And I don't want to say the person who, because it's you, but the aspect of you that communicates your feelings. So for women, sometimes we go through life not feeling safe or comfortable saying no, or really verbalizing our true emotions and our true feelings. And men can attest to this as well. But I feel like in this society, with women being deemed prey and men being deemed predators, there's different perceptions of life that we have, and unconscious biases, or privileges that we carry based on our gender. But sometimes women feel scared to verbalize their true feelings because of the fear of like being perceived as, like I said, a bitch. Oh, what, you on your rag, huh? You going through it, or man, you doing the most, or or whatever. These narratives that we're afraid of, the fear of judgment is very powerful. So this is where I try to like challenge myself, tapping into the combination of taking action, speaking my truth through my heart, and verbalizing it through my throat and my mouth, in essence. But then you got, your third eye. I just use this as, honestly, I don't typically know how I use this. I just kind of think it's just something that just happens. Like sometimes I get these epiphanies or ideas, or these feelings like, oh, this would be a good idea, this would be a good business idea, or I foresee this happening, or just different kind of little intuitive nudges that may be right, may be wrong. When it comes to intuition, like I said, you can't always know if it's intuition or just a thought, and you don't want to get too gung-ho or thinking that everything you think is the best decision. And that's when you have to go back into your heart center. Your heart is your center of discernment as well, and knowing how to look at the fine details, the history of a person, of choices, to know what's right for you and what's not. Hopefully the wind's not blowing too hard and you can hear me well, because I don't like recording, I don't like editing. I'm a lazy spiritual. And I think a lot of y'all can attest to that as well. And that's why I feel like I will resonate with the people who, hey, I'm trying to do the bare minimum and live a life that's not so cumbersome and just stressful in itself. Like, the last thing you want to do is make your spiritual journey more stressful, because it's counterproductive. You're trying to get away from that. Duh. No, I'm just kidding. But anywho, and then the crown. That's just more tapping into like more of those what I feel like are more higher perspective or divine ideas, things that come from a real place of light and love. Because to me, anything that's divine should be coming from the most high, the most light. And for me, that's God, and God is love. So it still goes back to connecting to that once again. But yeah, those are things that I feel like cater to my spirit and how I keep myself moving in essence. But yeah, so now I'm going to read a couple things that I wrote down as far as getting to know your spirit. So connect with the spirits within. I already basically said that. Get to know it, learn it, what it likes and what it doesn't like. So basically you get to know what makes you feel good, get to know your interests. Try different little things, delve into something that you may have always been interested in, but you never tried it because of, for whatever reason, I'm not gonna be cool, or that's not something that black people do, or whatever, whatever thoughts may be running through your head. Try it. Ask yourself daily, what do I need? How am I neglecting my needs? Am I having fun? Those are some ways to kind of just recenter and regroup. Am I showing myself love or whatever? Am I neglecting myself? It's like basically a big umbrella statement that you can kind of put whatever you want in there. You can neglect yourself in many ways, many aspects, emotional, physically, mentally, spiritually. But yeah, you can tell by coping mechanisms and sensations within your body. Your body is your oracle. Oracle is just another way of saying like a guide. Stress detectors, i.e., like for example, grinding my teeth and back pain is when I know my spirit is overwhelmed, scared, anxious, or stressed. And when at peace, joy, ecstasy, I'm good. Cultivating nostalgia is great for the inner child aspect of your spirit. For example, me watching Food Network, kiddie movies, eating fruit snacks, cereal, etc. are ways in which I connect and soothe my inner child aspect of my spirit. My spirit also likes to eat, so I indulge when I feel called to. Other ways in which you may connect with your spirit and release, regulate energy may be a cup of coffee in the morning, a morning run. Sorry guys, there's airplanes all over the area. I live by airports, so gardening, arcade places, skating, riding bikes, singing, dancing, acting, playing sports with friends, barbecuing, ironing your pants for 5 hours, LOL. Whatever to connect or uplift your spirit's energy on a daily basis. It doesn't have to be grandiose or woo-woo as the spiritual community likes to use, but it can be. Just make sure you're doing it from a heart-centered place and not an ego mind-centered place, or a place of, inferiority or lack, or, feeling like, oh, this is something I have to do because this will make me more spiritual. Nope, you're already spiritual, baby, born that way. So let that go. Like, for example, for me, going to the Gallo, getting a hotel, doing a staycation, wearing my God is Dope shirts, wearing my pink sugar roll-on oil, using Bath and Body Works in my Epsom salt baths, nurturing my divine feminine spirit. But we have multiple aspects within our spirit that we have to get to know. Just create intentions for what you're doing and decide what the purpose of those actions are going to be. Also, I like to be fresh, swagged up. That's a part of our history, the roots, where we dress like royalty and for meaning, to show status and our family lineage or tribes. And that was also with hair as well. Hair was another way to represent different statuses and different types of aspects of who we were as people. So that's why, if you notice, there's a lot of things that we do as African Americans that are deeply rooted into the African history. And so hair is one aspect, and so is swag, the clothes you wear and how you rock it, and that kind of situation. It shows status and different types of things. So there's deeper meaning behind everything. But basically, when we were stripped of that, we found an acceptable excuse to be focused on material image. Sunday's best was our way to have a sense of status and swag because it was acceptable to the master's approval. So that was the one day that we were allowed to, do our hair, get dressed up, because we had to look like we were basically like their show. It's almost like when you have a trophy wife, that it doesn't mean that they have more worth. It just means that it's all a perpetration. And I feel like this is the stemming of personas and trying to keep up with the Joneses and having these images that to me don't really reflect what's going on behind the house. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody coming out looking nice, but what's really going on in the inside? And that physical aspect of this world was very detrimental because everybody is so busy trying to uphold an image with physical things that they lack the knowledge of what's really going on inside the voids that they're trying to fill. But that's on a whole nother thing. But other things I like are, Zydeco, soca, reggae. I like Native American flute sounds and stuff like that. But I also like this instrument called the kalimba. It's something you can play with your hand. I like hang drums, ukuleles, country music, R&B. I even like trap music. I like everything. So music really is just a big part of my spirit. Like it moves me, and I listen to it for different moods. Whenever I'm in a different mood, I listen to something else, and that's kind of like in essence like how you know how the spirit can move you. Like spirit is in the music as well. So it's like different types of music can move you to feel different types of ways. It can move your emotions. It can make you cry. It can make you laugh. It can make you dance. It can make you sing. Jeez, I've never seen this many airplanes come over me. It's every time you're trying to do something. I tell you, Lord of mercy. Anyway, I also like connecting to the ocean. For some reason, I'm drawn to Hawaii. Never been, but I think it's because my mom always said this is the one place she always wanted to go. So it's probably just something I've always wanted to do too because of that. But also, like, you notice, like, I did a little post on how traveling is transformative, and basically how I get so many like epiphanies and what is called downloads when I go on staycations, because I feel like my higher self is in essence the royalty of me and loves to be treated as such. So when I'm there, it's catering to that and it's moving that and giving it space to do what it do. It's kind of like when you nurture yourself or you're going to go for a workout, you're going to perform better when you get the water and the little smoothie or whatever you pre-workout versus if you don't. So giving my higher self the things that it likes will get it moving to, lead me back home and lead me to the, higher levels of consciousness that I need to move forward in my journey. I'm freestyling a lot of this stuff, so bear with me, guys. But I've always had expensive taste. Like people, me and my sister always talk about we people can call us bougie all you want, but we been like this. I always tell my sisters, I say, hey, if I ever get rich, y'all know you can't say I switched up or I'm bougie, because I've been having expensive taste even when I couldn't afford it. Like I'm always picking up the most expensive thing, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess I know quality when I see it, but it's not from a place of, oh, I'm trying to flouse or just look better. It's just like I like what I like, and it just always happens to be expensive. Trust me, because I'm pretty frugal and cheap, so I would rather it be cheap. Trust me, I love a good sale, coupons, 50%, whatever. That stuff now. That's what I like right there. But I always say I'm bougetto, bougie and ghetto. But some other things that for me that I know is just kind of like me is like even when working out, I had to let go of what everybody said you have to do to work out. Like, no, me, I like everything to have an aspect of fun. Like I said, I'm lazy, so if something is boring, I'm less likely to keep up the consistency. This is why I walk instead of run every day, because running, for one, is a little bit too high intensity for me, unless I feel like it. Sometimes I run to like burn energy, but if I'm trying to do it for leisurely and peace of mind, running does not do that to me. It puts me in a more higher stress state. But like dancing is a high intensity thing that I could do, like dance classes like Zumba or something like that. But power walking is another thing that I could do, because it's a little less intensive, but I get that burn, and I use my motivation. Like, hey, I want a body, a certain body. I like to eat. I gotta do what I gotta do. But all this is just to say, the more and more you kind of just reflect on the things you like and your interests, the more and more you'll see the things that cater to your spirit, aka the things that make you feel good. You could take the word spirit out of it, but just say yourself. But I like to use spirit because I do feel like there's aspects of this spirit of the past and of your ancestors and of your parents that do still reside within you, based on the DNA that you have. You are a product of those things. So sometimes you have to cater to them or heal them to keep moving forward. You can't just ignore it or run away from it. But that's all I have to say about it. Hopefully it makes sense. It helps you in some way. Those are my intentions. It's all about helping. Peace out.